I suppose I'll begin speaking now. Throughout my whole life, I feel as if I've never really been understood by essentially everyone. uh, I guess anyone that's not online, even then those that understand me online are very, very few and far between. But anyways, uh, this would be most apparent when I'm in school or just stuff like that. But surprisingly, for me, it's actually most apparent when I'm at home. My own family frequently misunderstands me, misunderstands my motives, misunderstands my speech, tons of things. Like for example, I may comment on something and they're going to think I'm like bad or I have some malicious intent, something like that. It's really odd to me, really odd, so I just don't really try to interject anything anymore. And for some reason, they see me as just someone who doesn't care. Like, it's as if they see me as some troublemaker who doesn't care and stuff like that. But I haven't even gotten in trouble with them for anything even remotely serious in years. And the few times I did get in trouble, it was for something very, very minor, and I didn't receive any punishment. So, yeah, it's just odd. They keep on thinking of me this way. They think I'm a massive liar, things like that, because I lied a bit when I was a little kid. So they attribute these things that I've done when I was a little kid and just assume that I continue them. They assume and assume and assume that I continue them. They also place upon a model where they see that I'm just a normal kid or something like that. So of course I'd have all these arrogance and all that, but they just don't see it at all. And this is most apparent with my grandmother, as she constantly, I guess, it's very common for her to misunderstand me. It's happened so much I can't even really remember an exact thing to relay on this recording. But, yeah. And I suppose it is also generational, as my father does it much less and he's a millennial. But my grandmother is essentially a baby boomer, maybe Gen X, but it's on that baby boomer Gen X line. And I apologize for that, I burped. But she was essentially born into a time where everything is handed on to her as a silver platter, and especially with being a female, that adds more, I guess, of a silver platter, because their lives are generally easier. And yeah, so she couldn't even understand any of my struggles at all or anything, because it's just a deep-rooted arrogance. In the past, very recently after a wedding, she came home drunk. She gets drunk quite a few times, and she could have easily avoided going home drunk and losing her phone and stuff like that, but I believe her decision was born out of pride, being too prideful to lower herself to the status of getting in an Uber or a taxi or anything like that. No, she must go home in her own car. I believe that's what she was thinking in her drunk-addled state. And I suppose if she was sober, it wouldn't even make sense for her to be in that situation if she was sober, but I guess in a sober mind, she'd like, oh yeah, of course I'd go in there. I'd go in the Uber. But yes, you'd say that, but inwardly, the pride would still exist. And that's just unfortunate, because everyone is always so prideful nowadays. So prideful and so arrogant. And boomers are the top example of that. They contribute to the destruction of the natural world at an immense scale. There's lots of things like that, fucking over newer generations, all because they're handed everything on a silver platter. But that's okay. Well, it's not okay. It's not okay for me. Not okay for really anyone that isn't them, but oh well. I guess I can't be too caught up in such a thing. And I see these things that are bad with society, and I'm like, oh yes, I want to help, I want to fix society somewhat. And of course, if I fix society, I'd only be able to fix that if I'm some dictator at the top. Which I believe I'd be pretty much a merciful dictator. Power corrupts a lot of people, but it would be generally hard for that to corrupt me. And yeah, the problem with despotism is that, like, you could theoretically train, I guess, a lineage. It's like, I have a son, he'd be able to lead after I die. But after enough time, one of them is going to become very corrupted, one of the leaders, and it's just going to become a shit show. And everything will be reverted. And either way, it's going to happen. So I guess perhaps despotism is slightly better, but it provides much worse knockback for whenever one of them gets too corrupted. I just have lots of topics to spit out today, because I'm actually making this one at an earlier time, because it's 7, and I usually make these at like 8 or 9, usually 8. Anyways, yeah, but I see myself wanting to help society and do all these things, but then I realize people themselves are very, very rotten at the core, to the point where it's like, do they even deserve my help? And that's just what I think. Like, that they're so corrupted, they're so bad that there's really no point in even trying to help them. The best thing to do is just go away. I'm not really referring to suicide, I'm referring to just kind of doing a Ted Kaczynski, not dropping bombs, not sending bombs, but just getting away from society and all that. I think that would be nice, but yeah, it's better to stay clear of their incessant yapping and just all the other things that they bring upon. People are bad. I apologize once more, I burped again. Oh, I just remembered. I've been wearing my underwear this entire day on the wrong side. But it felt normal, so I didn't really do much about it. I remember finding out about it in 3rd period, and I was like, wow, I should change that. But I realized, oh yeah, I'm gonna wait until school's done. And school's done, and big news comes to me. Really big news. Not really big news, but still, like, I learned 2 things happened to me today that were pretty shit. One of my favorite musical artists who I even talked to in the past died. he died in a car crash. And he was even in my Discord server for a short amount of time. And I was forced to speak at a table. Not really a table, but on the floor in a circle. Like something that would occur in elementary school. And I'm there, and the teacher asks everyone what they did over fall break. And I am in a pretty hidden location, one to where the teacher wouldn't even see me, and I guess I was correct, the teacher did not see me. Because it took her, because I was the very last one to be called, seemingly after she remembered that I existed. Yeah, so after that, but yeah, when my turn came around, I talked in a voice that's even more monotone than how I'm talking now, and just more, I guess, lifeless, as I really, really, really did not want to talk. In fact, I'm likely going to send some sort of opt-out email for doing that again, because she did speak about doing it every couple weeks, and I don't want to do that every couple weeks, ever. Never again. Because when I came around, the teacher asks me what I did over fall break. I say I don't remember, and I get a bit pressed on it. And eventually I do remember that I went to my sister's, not my sister's wedding, I don't have a sister. Well, I guess I have a half-sister, but that's not important right now. To my aunt's wedding, my younger aunt's wedding. Like, she was 8 by the time I was born. But, anyways, I'm there, and after, so I just say, yes, I was in my wedding. At the wedding, they asked me, she asks me if I was suited up. I reply that I was suited up. She asks me the color of my tie, and I said red, white, and blue. And then she asks me, was there a color theme? And I said, no, not to my knowledge. And she kind of presses me on that again, like, oh, was red a color theme? And I once again say, no, not to my knowledge. Then after that, she just switches to another question, all the while pretty much nearly everyone in that circle is laughing at me. Not very directly, but they're all laughing a lot, and I'm not trying to be funny at all. And even the teachers, I believe, were laughing. I went to know because I didn't really want to look at anyone. So that occurs, and then I'm asked another question. I'm asked, pick a number between 2 and 10. For some fucking reason, I don't know why. So I say 11 because I thought she meant 1 and 20. Because for some reason my brain saw 2 and 10 together and made it 2 times 10, turning it into 20. 1 to 20. So I say 11. Turns out I'm wrong. Very wrong. Because I can't even pick that number. They laugh again, I guess more uproariously. And then I hear 1 and 2 and 10. And I say 8. I guess because 8 is my special number, not a particularly lucky number, but my special number. Yeah, I guess that's the whole numerology of my life. 8's a very important number. So I pick 8. And then there it goes. Sorry. So I pick 8. They keep on laughing the whole time, the whole way through. After that, she asks me for a favorite artist. and I couldn't think of a favorite artist. There are many that I like, but I couldn't think of one that's a favorite. One of my favorites ended up dying the same day, and I learned that later, on the car ride, making it even shittier, because that was in 7th period, so the last hour of the day. And in the car ride home, I learned that one of my favorite artists died. But anyway, after that occurs, she then asks me, "What's your favorite game?" I reply that I don't have a favorite game, and I don't really play games much. And she asks for a recent game. I guess it's sort of confused. I say Gary's Mod, and I have to repeat myself like 3 times. Like, Gary's Mod, Gary's Mod. She just goes, okay. I didn't say it that way, but she just couldn't hear me. No one can really hear me in school, and I don't even believe I'm speaking particularly quietly. They just don't really care about hearing me. They don't care about hearing the odd autistic freak. Because I think pretty much all of them think I'm some sort of mass killer that's out to get them in the making. But I do not believe I am so. Okay, and what else do I have to discuss? But yeah, they just kept on laughing at me, and I felt hatred. I wasn't particularly sad, I wasn't particularly even mad. I wasn't particularly any of those emotions, like embarrassed, humiliated. No. If I could somewhat describe the emotion that I felt towards all of those in the circle, it would be one of hatred, potentially. But not like a hatred, like, oh, I'm so mad, I hate all of you, you're stinking up the city. No, it's different. I couldn't even describe the hatred I felt. Yeah, I can't even describe it. It's a feeling that you'd have to just feel to know. I'm not even sure if I could describe it as hatred. Of course, there's animosity, and I guess somewhat rooted in those emotions, but I couldn't even be able to describe it. Anyways, after that, that made my day pretty shitty. And I'm gonna try and look for more topics that I wrote down. I guess I'll just leave this video off with one more little remark or note about my day. Since pretty much every day feels the same, usually. Now there are more variety felt. But it's just, after dinner there's essentially no more day for me, it just ends. Because sometimes I have obligations in the day, and like my dad will call me or something, like take out the trash or get that or something like that, and after dinner that just doesn't happen. I'm just left in the silence of my room usually. Now sometimes I go out and bike, and I believe I'm going to do that soon. So that's good. I guess one more little thing that I could denote is that I had another lucid dream. I had it tonight, and I just sort of break into lucidity sometimes, and all I did was try to talk to my girlfriend online. Once I gained lucidity, I'm like, oh yes, I have to go to the computer. Well, I guess I'm going to end this video now. That is all for my odd synthesis for today, Chronicle 11.